Am I right?
We're gonna get to that. See, let me explain something to you. Because I didn't want to interrupt the commander, because this is actually his show, but I just want to kind of explain a couple things. So, this is the reason why we like to have the community come out like this, in places like this, so we can hear where there's some gaps. Because there's a lot of things we don't know about. So like this lady is saying that an officer came out and did not provide service. So guess what we're gonna do as an agency? We're gonna get more specific information from her, and we're gonna do an investigation to see what officer came out and did not do his job. That's the only part about that accountability.
Can you speak up, please? We can hear you back here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Carl can't hear you. You got my Carl can't hear you.
Well, it's the same thing.
Hold on,
It's just
let me
like,
finish up, let me
hold
finish
on,
up,
hold on. It's just like the Ashley Babbitt situation
Right,
when that poor girl got killed. The officers intervened a little bit, they left, and that guy killed her.
So what I was explaining, sir, without taking over, because this is his show. But I just want to kind of clear up a couple of things about what she was just talking about, and then how he interrupted and stated that we're not still doing our job. So here's the thing, these meetings like this is designed to get public feedback of how our agency can do better. That's why I want to meet like this. So, because what she just stated is concerning to me as the police chief. It's concerning to the commander. Chief called you. So, she's saying an officer, she called an officer, he did not do his job. So we're gonna get the specific information from, when she fill out that sheet, we're gonna look into it, and we're gonna conduct an investigation to see why the officer didn't do his job, and we're gonna provide her feedback on that, and let her know what actually happened. That's the purpose of having meetings like this, so that we'll know where there are gaps, and where we have issues. So we did hear information that officers were not responding out to lost slaves. Well, I pulled up the calls almost for a whole year, and officers been coming out there in some type of call, almost 500 calls in the last year and a half, just in lost slaves. So we pulled that specifically. Now, how well did the officer do their job? Now that I don't know. That's why we're having these meetings.
Well, excuse me, doesn't the officer write what he responded to and what he did?
It depends on the call.
You say you don't know. How
It
do you not
depends
know?
on, it
They
depends
all
on
make their reports,
the, yes,
okay?
yes, ma'am. And I'm getting, but ma'am, it depends on the type of call, what the call is. So it just depends, I can't, if it's a call that requires a report, they will do a report. If it's just a call where there's call for service of a suspicious person, it just depends on how that call is, whether they're gonna write some type of report or not. So it's all relative, so it just
So you're
depends.
saying you don't know what the cop does all day?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I can pull up the report and tell you what type of report you're written there.
Well, what you're doing is, you are not displaying proper statistics. Now, if you call a cop and comes to the house and does nothing, now you have a problem, because that shows you did nothing. So now, if there was 100 calls to my house, and you go and ignore one of them, well, now instead of being 100%, it's 99%. So I won't call you again. I won't call you again.
So I want to make sure I understand you correctly. Now you're
If
telling
you
me,
don't report an incident on your records, it does not show in the statistics of the safety of the community.
so what I'm hearing you say is that you called the police
Yes,
and they do not respond.
They
they
respond,
responded,
but they don't do anything.
and then somebody.
So we're gonna look at, what we're gonna do, we're gonna break down these calls. That's right, we'll break them down.
Yeah, our neighborhood, they don't call it. I call constantly. That's why I was asking him if I can see that. But our neighborhood, I can actually see.
That's why we have these meetings, so we're
My
not.
calls are recorded, because I call every night.
If you're making a call to the police department, let me make this clear. Let me make this
Let's get out
clear.
y'all way.
If you're calling the
I'm coming
police
up later.
department, there is a documentation of that call. And we are logging it. So whether we wrote a report or not, we're logging the call.
I stand in my drive, I'm not scared of anyone, I stand in my front driveway, and I record them, they wonder why I'm recording. I let them know I'm recording so I can show the police. Maybe you'll stop selling drugs all night long, all day long, all night long, all day long, nonstop. I end up with a busted window, so okay, I gotta fix the window, it's just nonstop. I feel like, when I call at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, Police don't come down my road. I don't see them. I have one undercover's number. He's got my open cameras. Our neighbor across the street opened our cameras. You can have our emails. You're welcome to our videos. You're my life. Come on in.
Right.
I offer everything. Nothing's happening. They have 10 more people staying there. Even just the fact that he's renting to the people. Here's what he does. He rents his house out. A month later, kicks them all out because they ran out of money because they bought drugs. All this stuff is just the litter from, they throw out everybody, and it's at the end of our road. We live
And
in
call
a
the
dead
Brevard
end.
County
It's
Sheriff's Department.
nonstop.
We had to call them in our neighborhood. Brevard County Sheriff came out and took care of the situation where Cocoa PE would not.
Sheriff is part of it. They don't do anything either.
They
That's
took care of
literally
the
like,
situation in our
it's their, but
They did one raid on the house.
from what I heard about the sheriff, they literally moved their CIs in that house.
Okay, exactly what I'm
It's
saying
their
about the
problem.
forms. Fill out the forms with your concern, and we'll definitely address your concern, okay?
Somebody asked me a question.
You would have 100 people in this room, but people are really taxpayers, business owners. I've been here almost 20 years. I asked all my neighbors, I sent out text messages and emails, come to these meetings, the chief wants to hear, the chief wants to hear. You know what, everything you said, they don't care, they don't care. And I'm sorry, you're asking them to fill out a form. Like, if we call and we send the emails and we get no response, and I'm not a pain in the ass, there's 5 more behind me and 10 more after that. We are super frustrated. I'm glad you're having the meetings, and I'm glad, like, I did see some people on East Street, 2 PD today, trying to move the druggies out of there. I'm glad. But you guys also push out rebuttals and get mad when the community really pushes on you.
Well, and the reason why I say the forms is if we don't have the form, we can't
And I know
respond.
Thank you.
You can't hear anybody, everybody's talking.
Everybody else starts getting mad.
Can't hear anybody because everybody's talking.
Yeah, so folks are having a problem trying to hear the different conversations, so we limit to like one person at a time, please? Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, question. When you get a call from whoever, Joe the citizen, it is natural that you respond to those calls no matter what, no matter whether it's a jaywalking or something, you respond to the call, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Why is that?
Well, it depends on the call. So
Okay,
if
well-
we have a call,
Okay.
and it also depends on the person who's calling in.
Okay.
If they're not on scene anymore and they've left the area,
Okay.
there's really no reason to send an officer to a call of a suspicious person when the person's not doing anything criminal. So we can't just stop people walking on the road because they don't live in the neighborhood.
Now, what makes you say that, how do you know they're not doing anything criminal? Okay, let me go back, I'll give an example. Back in December, and I'm sure you're aware of this, my daughter called because there was a white female laying on the sidewalk in front of our house. Okay, didn't know if she was dead, didn't know if she was alive, what, didn't know if she was scoping out houses. Went out and gave her a bottle of water to make sure she was okay. My daughter called the police department and requested for an officer to come out. Okay, she didn't want to give her name, she didn't want to make contact, wanted to make sure everything was okay. I waited 2 hours in my front yard. You can ask Councilman Dial. Nobody responded. Nobody. And I'm sure you know all about it because I've got your email here, what you wrote to the dispatchers.
I know all about it.
Okay.
And so, right, so I spoke to the sergeant about that and asked him why didn't he send an officer, and his answer was the caller didn't want to report it or didn't want to leave a name.
What's happened to staying anonymous?
I'm answering your question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay? He said he didn't send anybody because the caller said that they weren't doing anything wrong. They asked if they're doing anything criminal? No. She's just sitting on the stoop. So the officer, or the sergeant said, person doesn't want to meet, the girl's not doing anything wrong, we don't have a crime being committed, I didn't send an officer. And I've since addressed it to the sergeant that no, we respond to calls for service regardless of what it is. It may not be a high priority call, but when we have time and an officer available, they need to do a drive-by at least.
In other words, you're telling me you don't have enough people to cover the areas?
No, I'm not telling you that. We have a minimum staffing of
I
officers
wait 2
regardless.
hours and nobody shows up?
Well,
That's,
I just explained to you why they didn't show up on that one.
So you got a drug addict hanging out there, she's from Peachtree Street somewhere, her pants are around.
It's not
her
illegal to
ankles.
be a drug addict.
Do what?
It's not illegal to be a drug addict. It's not illegal to be high. So people have rights that we have to address, so we're limited in what we can do.
Did they at least refer to medical, since there was obviously some discussion of possibly
No.
a medical?
No, there was no discussion of medical.
No, there wasn't.
There wasn't no discussion of medical. There wasn't. I listened to the 911, or I listened to the phone call. It was not discussion of the medical.
No, okay, so they said they offered her water and everything else?
That was not related to this medical.